Welcome to the Stop Down Photography Podcast, episode 117. I'm Scott Davenport. Today's topic is a reminder to carve out some time just for you to nourish your pursuit of photography. Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining. I'm glad to be back with you for another chat about photography, this shared passion of ours. And in today's episode, let's take one more step on our never-ending journey of photography. A belated Happy New Year to you all. It's late January as this episode posts, and I know it's been a few months, and if it popped up in your subscriber feed, thanks for sticking with me. Admittedly, when life gets busier or I'm not feeling particularly creative, it's the podcast that tends to suffer first, and I've been overcoming some inertia with my photography of late. And the realization of that crystallized for me in the past month. Maybe you could say I had a moment of clarity. And that's what I want to talk about in this episode. And it prompted me to come back to the podcast and share this with you. So I hope you enjoy the show. Every one of us has a certain rhythm to life. Whether you're a working photographer, a working professional, semi-retired, retired, there are patterns to your day and your week. We each have a set of responsibilities, the stuff that living just requires, groceries, laundry, work, sleep, exercise. And as photographers, part of that rhythm is hopefully photography. And if your patterns include photography regularly, well, I tip my hat to you. And if not, well, this will ring true for you. Sometimes we get caught up in our day-to-day lives and don't make time to spend with the camera. And that can be extra challenging for landscape photographers, where our craft requires us to get outside, often to remote locations at awkward hours of the day. And then suddenly you look up, maybe you look at your photo catalog, you realize, wow, I haven't captured new photos in a few weeks. Or a few months. And recently I've fallen prey to a bit of that inertia regarding photography. And in my case, I need to distinguish the type of photography I'm talking about. I'm a working photographer, and if you follow this podcast, you are likely familiar with my work on YouTube, where I post regularly. So you might be wondering, well, Scott, isn't photography inherently part of your week-to-week life, if not day-to-day? It is. Though a video post on YouTube, or a new book that I write, or recording a podcast, or even hosting a workshop, there's an aspect of the business to that, the business of photography. And yeah, even with the workshops, which are ultra fun, I love doing them because I am out with my camera with like-minded photographers. But when I'm hosting a workshop, my focus is on the participants. My role is to get others in great locations and help them capture great photos. My own photography is secondary. So this inertia thing, when I look back at the last 4 to 6 months, I've had some pockets of time that I have dedicated to personal photography, personal growth as a photographer. And that time out in the field where it's just me, nature, and the camera, no behind-the-scenes filming or creating a tutorial while I'm in the field. Sidebar, I gotta tell you, it can be hard to resist the urge to capture that video when I'm in the field. Those content creator gears in my head are hard to stop sometimes. But that personal time alone, growing as a visual artist, it's tapered off. I've kind of fallen back into a certain life rhythm. And the photography part of that rhythm has been more content creation and photo business kind of stuff, and not the artistic growth. And the thing is, both are important. This really entered my conscious thinking maybe 2 weeks ago, because in the last 3 weeks, I've taught several one-on-one private lessons out in the field. I love those too, because I get to help another photographer and I get to see that sparkle in their eye when a concept clicks. It's great. But also the private lessons have been a nice disruptor to my life pattern. I don't just settle down in the studio to go work on the next video or troll the photo library to find something to use for a tutorial or attend other photography business type stuff. I got out in the field, and it spurred me on to go out the next day or stay out in the field after the lesson and spend that personal time with the camera. Sparked my creativity again. The disruption it's kind of like going on vacation. When you're removed from your normal routine, parts of you that were in hibernation or on autopilot, they wake up and you're out in the world again. You're seeing things, experience things. And as photographers, we tap into that and we look for and find stories to tell through our lenses. So I'm sharing this with you, not to complain per se. I mean, lulls in photography happen for most, if not all of us. And patterns and routines in life are generally helpful. But I share this to encourage you to check your patterns and see if you need to shake something up. If you haven't dedicated some you time with your camera, put that in your calendar. Make the time to do it. And if the weather isn't great where you are and it doesn't lend itself to being out in nature, well, mark that time to learn something else about photography. Maybe it's a post-processing skill, or learn more about printing. Whatever it is, carve out some you time for your photography. Couple of bits of studio news for you. Some of these things that have kept me tethered to the studio more so than not, but they're good things. They're good things. First is the On One Photo Raw Essentials book. Many folks have been asking, are you doing a new book edition for Photo Raw 2024? The answer is yes. Been working diligently on that. The bulk of December was spent working on that book, and it's nearly complete. I finished all of the text for it, all of the diagrams and the screenshots and the layout, and all of those pieces are done, and it's currently being indexed. That's one thing I have folks help me build an index for the book, because I'm not an indexer and I don't know exactly what that really means, but there's some great folks that I work with that do. So as soon as I get that index back, which should be before the end of January, the ebook will be available on my website, and the print edition should follow shortly after that. I'm thinking mid-February for a print edition you could get through Amazon. So if that's something you're interested in, keep an eye on my website, or if you're on my mailing list, then you'll get notified about the book when it releases. And I do tend to have a habit of offering mailing list subscribers discount on new products, new ebooks, and I got on good authority that this will be true for the On One book as well. The other bit of news is on the workshops front. I am just about to head out the door to go off to Bryce Canyon for a few days with some photographers to go photograph the hoodoos of Bryce Canyon in snow. The next workshop coming up is in April in Big Sur, the Big Sur, California area, and that is 4 full days workshop. There is so much wonderful landscapes, seascapes, canopied cypress tree groves, things like that, all along the California coast that we'll be photographing. There is still some space left in that workshop. It goes April 8th through 11th of 2024. Cost is $15.95, and all of the details are on my website. I will put a link in the show notes. If that sounds interesting to you, you want to come out with us to the California coast, do some wonderful photography, hang around with other photographers that share the same passion for landscapes. It's just great immersing ourselves in photography like that. And you heard me talk about before, I'll be helping you get those great shots and take your photography up a notch, bring it to the next level, help you get to the next stage of your artistic growth. Again, link in the show notes if you are interested in learning more about the Big Sur Experience Workshop, April 8th through 11th, 2024. That will do it for this episode of the Stop Down Photography Podcast. Good to be back at the microphone. I will endeavor to not have it be so long until I come back again. If there is ever a topic or a question or thought you'd like to hear more about from me on the podcast here, drop me a note. You can contact me if you're looking at this on your podcast app. You'll see a link to where the home for this episode is. There's contact forms there. You can always reach out and just ask a question. And if you're interested in helping support the Stop Down Photography Podcast, go to my webpage, and on every page you'll see a Support My Work button. There are loads of zero-cost ways to you that you can support this show. Help me come back and do more podcast tutorials and all that jazz. You can also make a one-time donation if you are inclined. That is going to wrap it up. I hope you do carve out some you time with your photography. Make it something that is, it's important to you. It should be dedicated. There should be some time dedicated to it. Well, until next time, my name is Scott Davenport.